Hey, do you know what CBD is? Well, that's what we're talking about today on Things You Should Know. So hang around. Here at Things You Should Know podcast, our focus varies from commonly asked questions like, what are the top email apps for iPhone users? Or how much does it cost to go to Disney World anyway? To the trending topics of the day, such as, are taxes going up or down? And who's Elon Musk? We shed light on things you probably have always wondered about, but you never got around to investigating them yourself. This podcast brings you the answers to your most commonly asked questions and makes you smarter just by listening. Information empowers, and the more information you have, the better decision you can make, and ultimately, your quality of life is based on the decisions you make. So, thanks for joining the discussion, and make sure that you subscribe today and not miss out on any future episodes of Things You Should Know. Welcome to the show, guys. You reached Things You Should Know, and this is Kelly. I'm your host. It's my pleasure, as always, to welcome you into the show. Hope you're having a great week. We're going to be talking about CBD today. CBD, one of the things I think that's been on the rise, of course, each election cycle. You see more and more states legalizing marijuana, and CBD has been a conversation point, or at least in the media. And I know that a lot of us are seeing it and wondering what it is. Is it the same as, marijuana? What is it used for? What are some of the benefits? Is it legal in my state? Et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to hit a lot of those points today. So before we get going, though, I'd like to, again, thank you for joining me, first of all. But secondly, if you've not done so, particularly you first-time listeners, please go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. I'm going to ask you also if you will head on over to Facebook and like and follow our Facebook page, where we keep a lot of our articles and information as it relates to our podcast there, so you can read them in greater detail. And, of course, I can get your comments and questions and show suggestion and ideas there as well. So please remember to not only subscribe here, but head over to Facebook and follow us there as well. All right, guys, let's get going. All right, so let's start off with what it is. What is CBD? Charlie Bravo David. What is CBD? Well, it's short for a word, cannabidiol. It's a chemical compound from the Cannabid sativa plant, which is also known more commonly, of course, as hemp or marijuana. It's a naturally occurring substance that used in products like oils and edibles, and sometimes it imparts a feeling of relaxation and calming. Unlike its cousin, delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, THC, which you may also have heard of. This is a major active ingredient in marijuana. CBD, however, is not a psychoactive. In other words, it won't get you high. THC is. So, CBD, first of all, is it legal? Well, a little background. Industrial hemp was legal in the United States up and until Congress passed the Marijuana Tax Act in 1937. A tax act. Nearly 80 years later, the 2014 Farm Bill took the position that states can regulate the production of hemp, and as a result, CBD. Last year, our former president signed a new farm bill that made it legal, federally legal, to grow hemp. The distinction being federally legal. So this means that consumers everywhere, if they're compliant with their state, they can grow hemp and they can use hemp products. And of course, that includes CBD. The latest bill remove hemp from the Drug Enforcement Administration's purview, DEA. Hemp can now be grown freely under federal law, which of course is a big deal. But while it's legal under federal law, it is up to each state to set their own policy. So these policies may vary widely. For example, marijuana and CBD are currently fully legal for both medicinal and recreational purposes in states like Alaska, California, Colorado, Maine, Massachusetts, Michigan, Nevada, Oregon, Vermont, Washington, and Washington, D.C. In 23 states, it's legal in some form, such as for medicinal purposes. And in another 14 states, they permit CBD oil, but both are legal. Another 14 states simply just permit CBD oil, no other forms of the marijuana plant or oil. Both are legal in Idaho, Nebraska, and South Dakota. All right. Question: how is CBD, cannabidiol, different from marijuana? Well, it's the second most prevalent active ingredient in the cannabis or marijuana plant, THC being the primary. While CBD is an essential component of medical marijuana, it is derived directly from the hemp plant, which is a cousin of the marijuana plant. Okay, it's a cousin of the marijuana plant. Technically, not the actual plant that you think of as marijuana. So hemp is a little different than marijuana. While CBD is a component of marijuana, one of hundreds that is, by itself it does not cause the feeling of being high. In other words, like we said earlier, it is not a psychoactive. Okay, so before we go any further, let's make sure that we understand the difference between hemp and marijuana, or we just understand those two words. Because it's a common misconception that hemp and marijuana are two different species of that plant. In fact, they're not distinct species at all. They're just two different names for cannabis, a type of flowering plant in the Cannabidaceae family. Now, science doesn't differentiate between hemp and marijuana, but the law does. Legally, the key difference between the two is the THC component that I told you about earlier. And of course, that is the part of the marijuana plant, that ingredient, that active ingredient that will alter your state and that will get you high. So let's jump back over to CBD. So again, CBD is an active and essential component of medical marijuana. It is derived directly from the hemp plant itself. CBD is a component of marijuana along with a number of other components, but by itself, again, it does not cause you to be high. It is not a psychoactive. In humans, according to the World Health Organization, CBD exhibits no effects indicative of any abuse or dependence potential. To date, there is no evidence of public health related problems associated with the use of pure CBD. So, Kelly, are you saying CBD won't get me high? Nope, it won't. The cannabis plant is made of the two players, CBD and THC. CBD is the non-psychoactive portion of the plant. So what that means is you won't have any effects like euphoria. This is according to Dr. Chen, who is a osteopathic physician and a medical cannabis expert. You can find her work on Cannabis MD. You won't feel sedated, quote, or altered in any way. Now, there are two possible exceptions to this, however. The first is that some people, for unknown reasons, just react differently to CBD. According to Dr. Chen, about 5% of people may feel some sort of altered state after taking the CBD. Quote, usually they're the same people who have side effects from over-the-counter drugs like Advil or Tylenol. You never know how your body will react to any new supplement. So when taking CBD for the first time, do so safely under supervision. Now, important message also, it's also crucial to buy third-party tested CBD for quality assurance sake, because FDA doesn't regulate CBD. It is possible to buy a product that is more or less potent than advertised, or even contains smaller amounts of THC. So be careful if you plan on buying. Just do some research on the vendor and make sure the product, you understand where it's coming from and that it has been some level of quality assurance associated with it. So with that being said, we understand what CBD is now. What are some of the benefits? So I'm going to run through about 7 benefits of CBD. See if it's something that may fit your criteria. First of all, it can relieve pain. It can relieve pain. The human body contains a specialized system called the Endocannabinoid System, ECS, which is involved in regulating a variety of functions, including sleep, appetite, pain, and the immune system. The body produces endocannabinoids, which are neurotransmitters that bind to cannabinoid receptors in your nervous system. We won't go really deep into this today, but I'm going to put a link to a YouTube video on our Facebook page that really goes into detail about how your system is made, your nervous system, and how it has these receptors and what they're used for. Because there's a lot of miscommunication and misunderstanding. Some people say, oh, yeah, well, we're made to smoke weed all the time because our system is built with all these different receptors. Well, that's not the case. That's not the case. So I'm not going to be able to go into it now because it requires a lot of detail, but I'm going to put that link. So if you go out to our Facebook page, just follow us there. The link to the video will be there. So let's go back. Studies have shown that CBD may help reduce chronic pain by impacting the endocannabinoid receptor activity, reducing inflammation, and interacting with the neurotransmitters. There are 2 main types of pain. This according to Dr. Dinesh, who's, the 2 are the musculoskeletal and the nerve. They could benefit both from, your condition could benefit from the CBD. The tricky part is that there's some evidence suggesting that CBD works best for pain when combined with a little THC. Quote, depending on what type of pain you have, you might be able to do just the CBD. Sometimes you need CBD and THC. This makes accessing a product that will actually help you more difficult due to the different regulations in each state. In New York, for example, where Dr. Dinesh practices, CBD is available over the counter. But as soon as you add THC, you need a prescription, i.e. the medical or the medicinal marijuana. So in many cases, it's been shown to help relieve pain. The second is you can reduce anxiety and stress and depression. According to the World Health Organization, depression is one of the single largest contributors to disability worldwide, while anxiety disorders are ranked 6th. Anxiety and depression are usually treated with pharmaceutical drugs, which can cause a number of side effects, including agitation, insomnia, drowsiness, sexual dysfunction, and headaches. Well, the CBD oil has shown a promise as a treatment for both depression and anxiety, leading many who live with these disorders to become interested in this natural approach. And it is natural. In one Brazilian study, 57 men received either oral CBD or a placebo 90 minutes before they underwent a simulated public speaking test, for example. The researchers found that a 300 milligram dose of CBD was the most effective at significantly reducing the anxiety during the test. There were no effects with the placebo. So it can help with anxiety and depression. Third, it can alleviate cancer-related symptoms. Fourth, it may reduce acne. Fifth, it might have neuroprotective properties. So researchers believe that CBD's ability to act on that endocannabinoid system and other brain signaling systems may provide benefits for those with neurological disorders. And I live in the state of Georgia. 2 or 3 years ago, there was a family going before the House here in the state to get them to pass some sort of legislation where they could utilize CBD for their daughter. I think their daughter had osteoporosis or some sort of disability. She was wheelchair bound, but from what I understand, she was suffering. She had a lot of pain, and so they were going before this Georgia House to try and find some solution, because at that time CBD was not available here in the state. It is now, but at that time it was not. So in fact, one of the most studied uses for CBD is treating neurological disorders like epilepsy or multiple sclerosis. So epilepsy or multiple sclerosis. Though research in this area is still relatively new, several studies have shown very promising results. Sativix is an oral spray consisting of both CBD and THC. It's been proven to be a safe and effective way to reduce muscle spasticity, when you have spasms in your muscles, in people who suffer with multiple sclerosis. One study also found that same drug, Sativix, reduced spasms in 75% of 276 people with multiple sclerosis who were experiencing muscle spasticity that was resistant to medications previously. So while previous medications may not work for these people, during this study, they responded, at least 75% of them did, positively to the CBD and the THC spray. And then lastly, another study gave 214 people with severe epilepsy 0.9 to 2.3 grams of CBD oil per pound of their body weight. Their seizures reduced by a median of 36.5%, and that's significant. Also, number 6, you could benefit from heart health. And then 7, there's sort of a combination of things, just kind of summarize and take us home. So there are a number of studies that we cited before, and of course more studies are needed because the data is all new. CBD is thought to provide the following health benefits. Anti-psychotic effects. Studies suggest that CBD may help people with schizophrenia and other mental disorders by reducing their psychotic symptoms. Substance abuse treatment. CBD could help with that. It's been shown to modify circuits in the brain related to drug addiction. In rats, CBD has been shown to reduce morphine dependence and heroin-seeking behavior. Okay, next, anti-tumor effects. In 2 tests in animal studies, CBD has demonstrated anti-tumor effects. In animals, it's been shown to prevent the spread of breast, prostate, brain, colon, and lung cancer. Very significant. Diabetes prevention. In a diabetic mouse, for example, treatment with CBD reduced the incidence of diabetes by 56% and significantly reduced inflammation. So as we kind of wrap this up, CBD is more than likely available in your state. I think there are only a few states probably now where it is not. Moving over that list a little earlier. Marijuana in its totality, you still got a ways to go. Less than half of the United States are allowing sale and use of marijuana, which I think at some point will include all of us. But be that as it may, I hope this helped you understand what CBD is, how it's used, some studies that have proven its significance, and perhaps you fall into one of these categories where maybe you're suffering in chronic pain, some level of anxiety and depression, which probably most people can fall in given the last year or 4 years. Or you have a child, or you know someone, or you maybe have epilepsy or some sort of neurological disorder or handicap. Perhaps this can be a catalyst and a launching board into to do a little bit more discovery, and this has helped you kind of understand maybe that this could be an option for you. So, depending on what state you're in, I would suggest that you reach out to your local, vendors if they're available. If not, I would reach out to like county officials or state official, and to see what your options are and where CBD may be available. And if nothing else fails, you can always Google CBD near me, and that should be able to take you, or at least get you going in terms of finding this particular product. So this has been Things You Should Know. And I, again, appreciate you joining me today. We'll have a new podcast in 2 days, so I expect to see you back then. Thanks.